Your life on this surface has not been wasted after all. Sacrifice of the flesh. Come on in everybody, we have a little party for dear Jaeger. Oh look, he thinks he's part of the sacrifice, when in fact he's the one gonna be sacrificed. What, they'll give me 4 only? Oh, what, Karen? But I don't want to sacrifice Karen. Hey Jaeger, little buddy, ready to ascend? Don't worry guys, he's having a time of his life. I can feel his wisdom. It wasn't much, but I won't tell that to you guys. Cult of the Lamb is perhaps one of the greatest hits of 2022. And considering my name literally has the word Cultist in it, there's no way in hell I'm missing out on this game. Almost every streamer is playing it. In fact, too many are playing it that it's overloading the game's Twitch integration system as of this video. You probably click on this already having an idea of what the game is and just want to see what others' opinions are about it. But for those out of the loop, Cult of the Lamb is a roguelike cult management game developed by Massive Monster and published by Devolver Digital. You know, the same people who published Inscription and Hotline Miami. The game has you playing as a cute little lamb and, well, true to its name, starting your own cult. As you manage and grow your cult from a Boy Scout campsite to a full-fledged functioning religion, you'll venture off into the world crusading and voting in your name with the boons your cultist has provided you. Cult of the Lamb is a fresh entry in an industry packed with formulaic AAA games. And if you're still on the fence about it, well, strap right in, cause I'm about to start my sermon. Every good game functions on the principle of a gameplay loop. For example, in Fallout 4, you explore the world and get loot, which is used to enhance your weapons such that you can kill stronger enemies, which then lets you explore other areas with better loot, and you get the idea. So how does this apply to Cult of the Lamb? Well, to answer that question, we'll have to take a look at its game mechanics. In Cult of the Lamb, you got dungeoneering, which provides you resources like stones, meats, and logs to feed and manage your cult. As long as their needs are met, the cultists will grow more devoted to your cause, becoming more loyal, as well as improving their generation of devotion. Devotion is like experience, and whenever you've collected enough, you gain a level of divine inspiration, which lets you unlock new facilities that improves your cult further. Examples of these facilities could be a farmhouse, so that your cultists could tend to the crops themselves, or an outhouse, such that they won't defecate everywhere. Besides that, if your cultists gain enough loyalty, they too can level up, generating a huge amount of devotion, improving their devotion generation down the line, as well as giving you a commandment stone. Collect 3 of these stones and you can declare a new doctrine from your cult. There are 5 fields of doctrines to choose from: afterlife, work and worship, law and order, possession, and sustenance. And each level gives you the option between 2, which you'll have to select. Aside from it being a neat way to personalize your cult, the doctrines could provide numerous unique benefits to your followers. For example, the faithful trait lets all your cultists generate devotion 15% faster. One of the most important buildings in Cult of the Lamb is your temple, as from here, you'll be able to conduct sermons, rituals, and manage your doctrines. Whenever you conduct a sermon, your followers will grant you experience points towards a bar, and whenever that fills up, you can unlock a perk from a tree which helps with your dungeoneering. This could be unlocking new weapons or gaining an additional heart. Rituals are costly abilities that can assist you tremendously in managing your followers. They could be a bonfire ritual where you guys dance around to raise the faith of all your followers, or a grand feast to fill up their hunger bar. And yes, contrary to actual cults, you have to take care for the needs of your cultists. These are their hunger, health, and loyalty. If the place is covered in fecal matter, your cultists will fall ill and probably die. If they are hungry, they will get unhappy and disloyal. If these aren't managed, your cultists can even become dissenters. These dissenters will question your authority and ask heretical questions like, hey, is this actually a cult? Or like, wait a minute, you're not a god, you're just a lamb. Jokes aside, these dissenters will lower the loyalty of your other cultists, and like a disease, you should nip it at the bud before it spreads. Luckily, there are a few ways for you to manage these issues, like a prison to re-educate the non-believers who dare question your presence, or a cooking station to feed various meals to your cultists. Besides from praying to you all day, your cultists can be assigned to do other tasks like gathering resources for you or going dungeoneering themselves. They each have their own traits that make them stand out from the rest, and even before joining your cult, you can customize them personally or either through the Twitch integration system so that your audience themselves can make their own cultists and join you. This all comes together such that your cultists aren't a bunch of no-faces in a sea of mindless drones, and you will actually start recognizing them for their actions and personal quests that they provide you. Sure, it might be a cult, but you can't help but feel a tinge of sadness whenever one of your favorites begin to grow old right in front of your very eyes. As fun as managing your cult is, to progress through the story and the game itself, you'll need to delve into the roguelike aspects of the game and go deuce vaulting. This portion of the game plays like any other roguelike. As to my knowledge, there are 5 zones you can choose from, each locked based on how big your cult is, and within each run there are a few branching paths you can choose from, each giving you some form of event like a shop or a cache of resources. You can obtain temporary buffs like 10% critical or a shield from the tarot card reader found within the dungeon, and at the end of every run, there's a small boss that will grant you rewards when defeated. These rewards could be a new form for your cultists or a new decoration to build back home. Sure, the roguelike portions might pale to others of its kind like Risk of Rain or Inscription, but considering Cult of the Lamb can be considered as 2 games in one, I'd say it's a simple, elegant portion that does its purpose. Now, with all those extras out of the way, we can finally talk about the real game, the mini-games. That's right, there are mini-games in Cult of the Lamb. I was so shocked when I found out about it. There was no reason for them to put it in, but there it is. Sure, I know it's a trend these days for games to have more smaller games inside them. From Red Dead Redemption's Poker to Horizon Zero Dawn's 2 Machine Strike and Witcher 3's Gwent. But I'll admit it, this is a trend I definitely 100% approve of. After all, why won't I want more games in my games? And the thing is, the mini games in Cult of the Lamb are well made and do provide a small reward for playing it. Fishing, as the name implies, gives you fish when completed, while Knucklebones lets you gamble your gold for more gold. And oh boy, Knucklebones. Well, this game really pulled me in the same way Gwent did. To quickly explain, Knucklebones have each player roll a die on their turn. They can then place the die in a 3x3 grid on their side. Depending on the die they roll, they get a score, with a 6 giving 6 points, 5 being 5, and you get the gist. Once one person's board is filled up, whoever has a higher point wins. Now, the trick comes down to this. Dice in the same row have their points double. However, if the opponent places the same die in the same row on their corresponding board, all of your dice with that same face gets destroyed. Your huge point lead suddenly vaporizes in a blink of an eye. I've never felt such fury, such rage whenever I watch my 6-stack combo get wiped in front of me. I'll admit it, the moment Knucklebones was unlocked for me, I spent like a good hour or 2 on Ratao because that little cheating hedgehog nearly bankrupted my cult after he won nearly all my gold. Give me a 6. Fuck. Fuck you, Ratao, you fucking cheating bastard. Fuck you. We're playing again, Ratao, you cheater. We're betting 10 for coins. Look at his Ratao is cheating. He's stealing all my fucking coins. Never mind, I still won. You cheating cunt. We're not done yet, Ratao. Well, I just earned back all my earnings, so I am happy right now. Alright, but ignoring those moments, the mini-games are a good way for your lamb to sit back and unwind if you ever feel burnt out from dungeoneering and managing your cult. And so, with all the mechanics explained, you can perhaps see how one can get addicted to Cult of the Lamb. The gameplay loop is so simple. You manage your cult to strengthen your character, so that you can go dungeoneering that lets you get loot to further improve your cult. The two portions of the game fit so well into each other, and at no point in time did I ever feel one side was a burden or hassle. Whoever could have thought that management sim and roguelike could go so well together? From the art style alone, one could easily mistake it for another Binding of Isaac clone, and that's what I like to touch on next. Art direction and the soundtrack that just enhances the game further. Truth be told, I wasn't that keen with the art style that Cult of the Lamb went with when I first saw it. After all, I have always wanted a cult simulation game, but seeing the bright and cutesy art style that Cult of the Lamb had, I was a little disappointed to say the least. However, after playing the game for a few hours, the art began to grow on me. It was like an Animal Crossing gone dark. You have all these bright and smiling animal followers that go about their day before suddenly donning on robes and performing dark rituals inside your temple. The stark contrast somehow made it ever more so charming when you think about it. The colourful art style deceptively hid away the darker themes that the game was touching on. Indoctrination, murder, erasure of self-will, and even genocide. And the soundtrack of the game is there to remind you of it. If you ever could, just take a break in between those vaulting or managing your cult. Sit back in your temple and take a listen. The melancholic hum as if being played in reverse, and the cheery main theme of the game intertwined in it, gives off this eerie vibe. Somehow the temple OST really encapsulated the meaning of being in a cult, that true dark purpose that overpowers the bright facade that most cults use to mask themselves. Massive Monster and Devolver Digital could have easily gone with my simpler preference and made a dark game with bleak art style and ominous organ music. But the direction they have taken Cult of the Lamb in was, as much as I hate to concede it, a much more meaningful and creative way. So with all these praises I've sung for Cult of the Lamb, is the game perfect? Of course not, no game is. But there is nothing wrong in that. Acknowledging its flaws and mistakes are simply another way to appreciate the strengths that the game have. And there are a few aspects of the game that have left me scratching my head, and I like to give my own suggestions and thoughts about it in the next segment. From the get-go, I was a little perplexed with their choice of making the building portion of the game use a diagonal grid system rather than your standard rectangular ones. This could be a small issue, but the diagonal system makes it a little hard when placing down buildings. Since our innate controls are up, down, left, right on both PC and controller, rather than diagonal upper right corner, diagonal bottom left corner, trying to align your buildings to that exact square may take a few more seconds than you'd like to. And let's see. Oh my bloody hell. Ah, come on. Who designed this system? Luckily, these were the only issues I had with the controls, and considering the fact that they are fully rebindable, I'd say that's something to commend Massive Monster for. The UI of the game is simple enough, with hunger, health, and faith bars clearly showing the condition your cult is in. Meanwhile, the same can be said while out dungeoneering, with your HP displayed as hearts and your current equipped weapons and their levels found near it. One thing I was confused about, and maybe someone in the comments can explain, was why was the ammo for your cursors taking up the most space in the UI? In my opinion, how prominent an element of a UI should be based on their importance, with more vital portions taking a more forefront space. As such, one improvement I would suggest is swapping the places of the HP and ammo bars. That way, at a glance, the thing you'll register immediately is your HP first, before other elements. Aside from that, the UI is clean and does not clutter the screen in any form. It displays other information like time of day as well as dungeon maps and their room types perfectly. Buffs and debuffs are colored in red and green as expected, and at no point in time was I confused with the wording on something and the effects it provided. Well, except for one time. He's a natural skeptic. On recruiting follower, immediately lose 10 faith. Huh? So you're confused whenever you get more people? Oh no, on recruiting follower alright, there should be a comma there. Okay, I see. But I can easily attribute that to my own stupidity. The placement of the dungeon modifier at the top middle screen was a bit weird, but I wasn't really sure either where else they could have placed it. One last thing I'd like to comment on is the balance of doctrines. Now, before I proceed, I want to make it very clear. I am a firm believer in the idea that balance does not apply to a single player game. As long as it does not affect the joy of another player, you can make your game as unbalanced as you want. With that cleared up, the doctrines in Cult of the Lamb did make me raise an eyebrow. For example, in the first level of Work and Worship, you have two choices. Faithful Trait, which lets your followers generate devotion 15% faster as mentioned earlier, or Industrious, which makes them work 15% faster. Considering that you'd only have a handful of cultists praying, while most of the rest will be working to sustain your cult, the Industrious trait just seemed like a better option overall. Another one would be in level 3 of the Afterlife field, between Respect Your Elders, which grants your followers plus 5 faith for each elder, or the Good Die Young, which grants plus 10 faith whenever an elder is sacrificed, murdered, or consumed, but minus 20 if they pass on naturally. Since elders can't do most work, it's something you'd probably want to avoid. Therefore, in my eyes once again, one option seemed better than the other. Do you guys agree with this? Let me know down below too. Hopefully they could maybe revamp some of these doctrines and perhaps even in future DLCs add new ones. I'd definitely pay for more options to customize my cult. Aside from the Twitch system not functioning well and even breaking or soft locking you in some regards, as well as an issue with floor decorations slowing the game down in the long run, Cult of the Lamb was a smooth gaming experience for your average gamer, with barely any bugs or crashes. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but that is definitely an achievement in today's gaming market. Cult of the Lamb deserves all the attention and praises it's been getting over the past few days since its launch. Seeing how most games these days are released bug-filled, broken, and even missing advertised features, with companies announcing a roadmap as if that will make everything okay, Cult of the Lamb was a great reminder to the gaming industry of what the standards of a game release should be and should have been. Its success has probably left numerous AAA market analysts baffled. What do you mean you have no plan for an eternal audience retention rate? No microtransactions? What about persistent development for half a decade? Cult of the Lamb did not indulge itself in such questions that most gaming giants do these days, and the fact it has garnered scores from critics that surpasses most of such games is simply a pleasure to watch. With a niche genre such as management sim and paradoxically merging it with a packed one of roguelikes, Cult of the Lamb's success is in on itself an achievement as it blends these two never before thought of combination so perfectly, or so I'm aware of. That is why I'm giving Cult of the Lamb an 8.5 out of 10. It is a breath of fresh air and creativity in an industry that has gone stale with most releases simply chasing after the latest trend or hit. Priced at only $26 on my end, Cult of the Lamb is worth every cent, and you can easily sink up to 20 hours into it or more. I'm excited to see other games learn from Cult of the Lamb, and who knows, maybe it will spawn its own new subgenre just as Slay the Spire and Dream Quest did. I await eagerly to see what new things Massive Monster have in store for the game. After all, they've turned this fellow cultist into a loyal follower of their cult. What's this, your weakest army you have? I'm killing them in one shot, man. Pathetic. Alright. Yes, Jack, you want to say something? Benevolent leader, please don't judge me, but I've always wanted to eat a meal made of